Hello everyone. Welcome back. Did you know that ships and airplanes use words for directions like forward, aft, port, and starboard? Why not they just say front, back, left, and right? Well, there's a good reason. These words come from history and were designed to avoid confusion. Let's break it down. First, let's start with the easiest ones, forward and aft. These simply mean front and back. The word forward comes from an Old English word forward, meaning toward the front. And aft comes from an Old Norse word aft, which means toward the rear or behind. Imagine a ship's captain giving orders. Row forward, while pointing ahead. Or pull aft, while pointing behind. It's clear, simple, and avoids confusion. Now, what about starboard? It's a funny sounding word, but it actually comes from how ships were steered long ago. In ancient times, ships didn't have rudders like today. Instead, sailors used a large steering oar on one side of the vessel. Most sailors were right-handed, so they placed the steering oar on the right side of the ship. In Old English, this was called the steering board or steerboard, which later became starboard. So, if the right side was for steering, how did they dock the ship without damaging the oar when the ship reaches the port of destination? Docking on the right side means, the starboard side risked damaging the important control mechanism that is, the steering oar. Since the steering oar or rudder was on the right, captains found it easier to control and position the ship while docking from the left side. In Old English, the left side was called larboard. Lad meaning to load, and board meaning side of the ship. Over time, this changed to larboard. Sounds fine, right? But there was a problem. Larboard and starboard sounded too similar. Imagine a captain shouting "turn to larboard" during a storm. With the wind howling and waves crashing, a sailor might mishear it as "turn to starboard." That kind of mistake could be dangerous, leading to wrong turns or even accidents at sea. So, in the 1800s, the British Navy officially replaced larboard with port. Because ships always docked on their left side when reaching port. Now, you might ask, if ships use port and starboard, why do airplanes use them too? Here's where it gets even more fascinating. Even today, airline pilots use these terms when communicating with air traffic control, ensuring precise and clear directions. Before airplanes ruled the skies, ships dominated transportation and warfare. When aviation was born in the early 1900s, many early pilots were former sailors or naval officers. In fact, the first airplanes were often launched from ships designed for military navies. To keep things consistent and avoid confusion, they continued using the same nautical terms: forward, aft, port, and starboard. Even today, these words are used in fighter jets and commercial airplanes. They prevent misunderstandings, especially when flying in tough conditions. So, now you know. These words started with ancient ships, but they were so useful that even modern airplanes still use them today. Next time you're on a ship or a plane, and you hear port or starboard, remember, you're hearing centuries of maritime tradition. Now, here's a question for you. On most ships, the captain's cabin is traditionally located on the starboard side of the accommodation. Let me know in the comments, do all ships follow this tradition, or are there exceptions? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into maritime history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, and keep exploring the seas.